Welcome to Introduction to Maya series. I am your instructor Rohan Page. In this video, we will understand the workflow of fluid effects in Maya. What will be our workflow? We will see what is the use of fluid effect, then we will see what is voxel, then we will discuss about types of containers available for fluid effects. Then we will discuss about different attributes of fluid container which affect the behavior of fluid getting generated. Let's start with the session. Fluid effects are used to create pyrotechnic effects like creating an explosion, oil smoke, dry ice effect, or any kind of a wispy smoke. Fluids can be generated with the help of emitter and containers. There are two types of containers, that is 2D container and 3D container. The resolution of fluid which is getting generated depends upon the voxels which are available within the container. Voxel is nothing but a cubical part which represents the overall quality of display for the fluids. More number of voxels in a container will generate high quality display output for fluid. So let us see what are the attributes of these containers and how we can use emitter to create any kind of fluid. To create fluid effect, we will have to create a container. Go to menu set, choose dynamics. There we will have these options. Go to fluid effect menu where we can find create 3D container and create 2D container. So I'll create a 3D container. It looks like a cube. Go to fluid effect, create 2D container, which is a flat gizmo which you can see over here. If you want to see the voxels available in these containers, you will have to select this container, go to attribute, under display rollout we have an option called as boundary draw. You can choose it to full. Select the container, under display rollout, boundary draw full. Now you can see these voxels. So the number of voxels available in XYZ are going to decide the overall resolution of fluid. Same goes with the 2D container. If you don't want to see them, you can definitely go to boundary draw again and you can keep it to none. You will see none, neither that gizmo, neither that voxel. So I want it as a bottom or an outline for 2D container. So if I'll play, nothing is going to happen as there is no emitter. This is an empty container. If you want to add an emitter, you will have to select that container, go to fluid effect, add edit contents and choose emitter. Now you can see at the center of this container there is an emitter which is generated. So if I'll play, you can see that there is a white color smoke which is getting generated. And as I said, fluids can get generated within container. So if I'll place this emitter out of the container and play the simulation, you can see nothing is getting generated. You will have to place it, you can place it anywhere within the container. Select container, go to fluid effect, add edit content, emitter. This is how fluids are getting generated. Now let us talk about attributes of this container, how it works and how we can make any kind of changes in the fluid which is getting generated. Go to fluid effect. You can create a container with emitter also. Click over here. I am creating a 3D container with emitter. I'll just change the background color, turn off the grid. I'll place this emitter at the base. Right. To see the attributes of container, you will have to select the container. In attribute editor, you will see its attributes. Starting with base resolution. So this base resolution is going to decide the number of voxels available in your container. Right now there are 10 voxels in X, 10 voxels in Y and 10 voxels in Z available, which is a very less number of voxel to see the actual resolution of your fluid getting emitted. So you can increase it, but increasing the base resolution will definitely affect this overall process of simulation. If I'm using 125, you can see the number of voxels right now are too much over here. I'll just keep it to around 75 and go to first and play. You can see how it is generating fluid. This is the basic fluid. We can see it in a good resolution than the earlier one. You can see how the fluids are getting collided automatically with the container, as the fluids cannot go out of that container. You can also have the choice of having 20 voxels in X, 50 voxels in Z and 10 voxels in Y, but to do so you will have to turn off this keep voxel square option off, so that you will get a choice of having different types of different number of voxels in XYZ axis. Suppose I'll say 50 in X, then I would say 25 and 10. So it is affecting overall resolution and the overall effect of the fluid. So it is up to you if you want to use a same number of voxels in XYZ or you have different number of voxels in XYZ. So I'll use the square itself with the 50 resolution. Go to first frame and you can see that the changes will take place. Next thing is size in X, Y, Z. Rather than scaling it manually like this, we need to use this option size, which will help you to resize the container shape. So if I am mentioning X size to 20, Y size to 15 and Z size to 40. So this is how I am going to get the overall fluid container size. I'll go back to the normal, that is 10 in all axes. Boundary XYZ, how it is going to affect. Suppose right now boundary Y is at the both side. That means all the positive negative side are turned on, and that's why our fluid is getting collided over here. So if I say none in Y axis, it is not going to get collided, but it will get disappeared after getting collided at the Y axis. There are many other settings which we will see in upcoming lectures when we will see different types of creating different types of fluid effect. Now content methods. Basically any fluid have the capability of emitting density, velocity, temperature, fuel and the color. So basically talking about the density first, as of now we are not creating any kind of fluid effect, so we'll talk about only density. Right now density is nothing but with whatever the fluid you are going to see after it is getting generated. So if I say off, it is not going to generate any kind of fluid within a container. If I say static grid, you can see the fluid is getting generated at the origin of that emitter but not getting simulated throughout the 3D space. If I say gradient, you will see the density of the fluid which is filled up within the whole container. There will be no such simulation happening in the container. Generally, we keep it to dynamic grid as we want to have a simulation of fluid. The next attributes which we will be using constantly are available under content details. As I said, fluid is capable of emitting density, velocity, turbulence, or temperature, fuel, color. Every attribute have their own set of settings which is going to affect the overall behavior of your fluid. Right now we will talk about density and turbulence. I'll go to density option. In it we have an option called as density scale. So if I'll increase the overall scale, it is going to make my fluid look dense. Let me just increase it to 5, and you can see increasing the value is going to make that fluid more dense. Buoyancy is nothing but the overall weight of that fluid. If I am going to increase the value of buoyancy, then the overall weight of the fluid will be lighter. If I'll take it to negative value, then my fluid will become heavier, and rather than getting emitted in upward direction, it will start flowing in downward direction. So I'll increase the value of buoyancy to around 8, and you can see that how it is going to get emitted. It will emit faster than the earlier one. Increase it to 15. You can see how it is affecting. If I'll keep it to minus 10, now the fluid is heavy. I'll just select this emitter, move it in upward direction and play. You can see how it is flowing down. So the buoyancy is dependent on what kind of effect you want to create. Generally we keep it at the default, that is 1. Dissipation is nothing but it is going to control the overall decay of your fluid. If I'll add 2 seconds, it is, you can see how it is turning off or decaying off um, throughout the time. If I increase the value, so this is how it works. The next attribute is turbulence, which we need to talk about. Turbulence and velocity. Velocity have this option called as swirl. Right now my fluid effect is like this, which is getting emitted straightly. There is no any kind of a noise while it is getting emitted. So if I'll add a velocity swirl with the value of 5, you can see how it is having this kind of instability, you can say a randomness during the emission. If I'll add more noise, this is how it is going to affect. So if I'll increase the turbulence strength to 0.5, it will make that fluid more unstable like this. Increase the strength to 2, and this is how now the fluid is behaving within the container. you can just play around these value to see how the fluid affects whenever you will change these kinds of attributes. We also have an option of shading over here. There we have the transparency. You can increase the transparency to make it transparent, or you can decrease it towards black to make it opaque. We also have the option of color, where you can create a ramp or a single color. Incandescence ramp is going to work only if you are emitting any kind of fluid with the help of if you are emitting any kind of temperature and heat during the simulation, then this respective incandescence will work. There is an opacity graph over here, which we can have that much control of how much fluid you want in a dense quantity in from center towards outward. So as you can see, if I am holding this point and moving around, how it is affecting the overall visibility of my fluid. You can definitely add more points over here, and if I'll take it down like this, you can see that the fluid within the central area, in a center area, is getting transparent. Outer edges are having dense fluid, whereas inner edges are not having any kind of fluid density. This is how you can work with opacity graph to control the overall visibility of your fluid. We have an option of shading quality, where you can have a good kind of shading quality at the time of render, and there is an option of lighting where you can turn on the self shadow for the fluid. As of now, it is very much without any kind of a shadow. So now you can see how it works. We have this directional light, default directional light, because of which we are getting this shadow. This is XYZ axis, where you can simply go to with the help of cursor and hold control middle mouse and change the direction so that it is going to affect the overall shadow area. You can simply change the color also, and it is nothing but a basic kind of a smoke you can see over here. Right. So these are the basic attributes we have talked about of the container, which you will be using randomly to create any kind of effect according to your requirement. So let us see what we have learned in this video. What we learned in this video: we have seen that fluids are used to create pyrotechnic effects like nuclear explosion, oily smoke, gas or wispy smokes, and many more. There are two types of containers available in Maya, that is 2D container and 3D container. Fluids can be generated within these containers only. Resolution of fluid depends upon the number of voxels available in that container. So the large number of voxels will result into good quality display of the fluid getting generated. Fluid have the ability to generate density, velocity, temperature, and fuel. For any query, you can follow me on Facebook. You can write me an email on rohan.pageanimator@gmail.com. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, or else you can join the classroom with the following code. Thank you.